Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together, one frame at a time. Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger, and in another episode of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together, one frame at a time. And with me, I have a wonderful friend to the show, a distinguished gentleman, Mr. Kevin Mosqueda.
Oh, thank you, kind sir.
Yes,
Thank
how are you? Oh, yeah,
wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Welcome back. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
Hope all is well with you, sir.
Can't complain.
Good. Happy to hear.
Yep.
So tonight we're going to be discussing the 1993 Sylvester Stallone Wesley Snipes action vehicle, Demolition Man. Now, I rewatched this the other night in preparation for this episode, and I have to say that after 30 years, this movie holds up.
Oh, yeah.
It is just a fun thrill ride from beginning to end. And in case of those who don't know the story, Sylvester Stallone plays a hardened cop in 1996 Los Angeles who is in hot pursuit of Wesley Snipes' character, Simon Phoenix, who is a sadistic, violent criminal, a murderer. And basically, the film starts off in 1996, and there's a huge shootout. There's a couple of deaths, and basically, both individuals, Stallone and Snipes, get frozen for their crimes. I won't get into too much crimes, but there's an incident with Stallone's character. So basically, he gets frozen in cryogenics along with Wesley Snipes' character, Simon Phoenix. Basically, they both get frozen only to be thawed out a number of decades later in San Angeles, which is the future version of LA. And basically, once they're thawed out, they resume their fighting, and lots of bullets and laser beams are exchanged in the future Los Angeles. And like I said, it's just a fun thrill ride from beginning to end. I think I like this movie a lot more this time around, 30 years later. It really has aged well, like a fine wine.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I think it's they made enough changes that you don't fall in the pitfalls of other future movies where you're like, oh, that's not really how it is in the future, because we're essentially there, especially
right.
so far from movie 96. So the San Angeles, just the sets, the color schemes. I mean, it's enough that you can just get into that fantasy world and not have to be brought back to reality.
Okay.
And I think nothing shows that more than Wesley Snipes' performance.
Okay.
That man was having fun
throughout
the whole movie.
Yes, like any 90s villain, he really chewed up the scenery. And I think he was perfect. I can't think of a better actor who could have embodied that performance. I just want to go back a little. So they get thawed out in 2032. So we still have some time to fully realize what their predictions were. Do you think Taco Bell is going to be a fancy restaurant?
I mean, I will say Taco Bell is appreciated by many. I know they've tried to make it fancy. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But like I said, even if we reviewed this movie in 2032, 2035, whatever.
Hey, that's a date. I think that's a good idea.
Sure. I mean, like I said, it's just so radical enough. I'm not going to nitpick it and say that didn't happen. Look, you know, they predicted it wrong. Like there aren't mole people underground with that theory yet. But you know, I mean, it's a wild ride. Stallone is great. Just an awesome. I love, and I'm probably going to butcher the quotes. So you're going to keep me honest.
Okay, I'll do that.
Why they bring Stallone back? You can only fight crazy with crazy, and it just.
Yeah,
they work so well off each other. Let's overdo it. Let's go full action and just bring an enjoyable.
It's like let's make the hero and villain as fascinating as possible. They have to be on like the even playing field, really. And we're gonna get into a little bit of the 90s movie talk in a bit, but this movie is just it holds up so well. It's very cool, very stylish. I love how 2032 looks in San Angeles. Also, we've got Sandra Bullock in an early role for her. This is 1993, so it was a year before Speed. and she was really kind of gaining momentum as a leading actress, becoming popular. We also have Benjamin Bratt as a very funny, naive police officer as well. Sandra Bullock is also a cop. I didn't say that. Also, we have Rob Schneider as like the police dispatch person. Hilarious. Bob Gunton, who plays the police chief, who is always a jerk in everything. Almost everything. You know, he was like typecast as this stereotypical, not villain, just kind of a jerky guy.
Oh yeah.
We got Dennis Leary as one of the mole people, as you said.
I'm gonna call him that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. We also have Jack Black is also one of the mole people. I don't know if you knew that.
I don't think I caught that.
I think it might be his. I don't know if it's his first role, but it's definitely one of his earlier roles. Yeah, we got Otho from Beetlejuice. Fantastic.
Of course, you would spot that.
Yes, I have to. Come on, give me some credit here. And yeah, a great score by Elliot Goldenthal, who 2 years later would do Batman Forever and then Batman and Robin. But that's a side conversation.
Of course. But I think if we go supporting characters, yeah, Sandra Bullock, I mean, she showed the potential there. She just, how could you not root for her? She had this innocence to her, but then obviously she, stepped up to the plate later in the movie when she had to. I mean, she just kind of just popped out of the screen. You had a
she definitely has that it factor.
Oh yeah,
and you could really tell from this and her mid-90s performances. So it was really nice to see that. Some of the technology, I believe there were tablets in this movie, so we got that prediction that squared away. The VR sex simulation, I don't know if are we there?
Maybe we're there.
We're there. Yeah.
So I've been told.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like VR is there, and it's just like the internet, right? It was made for certain purposes, and it quickly went to adult themes.
Yeah.
VR is it's basically that direction already.
You got that. You've got self-driving cars. You've got, what do you got?
I mean, we're gonna just jump straight to it.
Oh yeah, well I believe this is the bathroom scene where Stallone is like, you're out of toilet paper. Oh, he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells. And I don't think we have to get into the graphic nature or our theories on how actually I think I did Google it once.
Yes.
I was curious, morbid curiosity. We're not going to get into details with the 3 seashells. Use your imagination is all I'm going to say.
Well, I'll make this pivot because I've heard this theory. The 3 seashells was some ongoing joke for everybody just to mess with Stallone. I've also heard that theory. It's not really a thing. They just keep referencing it just to basically mess with Stallone's character.
Like even to this day that they still reference that.
Well, no, just like in the context of the movie. Nobody really knows what the 3 seashells are, how they're supposed to be used. But it's kind of like Emperor's New Clothes. Like nobody wants to be the guy to call it out. Right. Say, what are you supposed to do with these?
Yeah, I mean, but once if you do Google it, you'll find out the real reason. Though I still don't think that it's very effective. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, Demolition Man is just it's a ridiculous movie. It's quintessential 90s action. I'd say quintessential. This was a time too when Stallone was like, starring in every action movie imaginable. I think he did at least one movie a year. Like after he did Rambo 3, which was 1988, I think, 88, 89, he then kind of moved in a slightly different direction. He was still a heroic action star, but this was just after the initial Rambo trilogy.
I mean, that's what made him the action guy, right? You want to talk like an actor that you can respect his acting, you go with the Rocky route and some of his more dramatic roles. But Rambo made him action. And then this just kind of built on that.
Yeah, I'd say, let's say his non-Rambo roles from off the top of my head, I believe it kind of started roughly with Cobra. That was 1986. And he was kind of like Rambo in that, but more like a subdued, all in black. I think he had like a leather outfit, like a biker type cop, and Tango and Cash.
Well, that's
yeah.
Awesome.
But then once we hit the 90s, I think well, 92 was Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, which was ridiculous.
Yeah. Where would Cliffhanger and Over the Top, my personal favorite of his, fall in terms of timelines? You would know this off. Yeah.
So Cliffhanger would be 1993, same year as Demolition Man, busy year for him. Then 94, not sure. No, I think in 94, 95, he did The Specialist, which was where he played an assassin. He also played an assassin in Assassins in 96.
You don't say?
Yes. 96 was also Daylight, which I actually rewatched last night. And basically, I don't want to ramble anymore. Stallone was the it action guy in the 90s, I'd say. Him and Stallone had this like feud.
Schwarzenegger. You said him and Stallone.
Schwarzenegger and Stallone. Stupid. Yeah. Stallone and Schwarzenegger were neck and neck. And this is just such a great time. Who has more testosterone, you know?
I think you have to go to the source on this one. So I was watching the Schwarzenegger like mini series on him in Netflix, and Stallone was one of the guys interviewed, and he said it best. It's when you look at these movies,
right? The
go-to guy, the guy that's like unstoppable, is Schwarzenegger. Stallone couldn't play that character, so in almost all of Stallone's action movies, you see him get his butt kicked, and now through that lens, like that's all I could see now every time I see
seeing Stallone get his ass kicked.
Yeah. Stallone gets beat up.
Yeah,
he wins. He gets beat up.
Right. Especially in Daylight. He's thrown around the whole every set he's in. And it's actually a lot of fun to watch. I mean, I never really was a Stallone fan, but after revisiting Demolition Man and Daylight and other stuff, he's actually really charismatic. I didn't really realize this until I actually like analyze the film.
I'm never gonna knock Rocky out. Like,
of
course he is.
He's great. He's really good. And I mean, he's still going. I mean, they're doing Expendables 4 now.
He has his own reality show,
which I actually watched the pilot of as well.
Of course you did.
I came prepared tonight, guys. And the family Stallone, it's terrible.
I'm not surprised.
Yes. It's really the Kardashians with Sly Stallone as the patriarch. And it's just really bad. But I was just curious to get morbid curiosity. I don't know what I'm more curious about, the Three Seashells or the family Stallone.
Seashells.
Yeah. But 90s action movies, man, they were like all over the place. Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so I was trying to prepare this and I was looking at the list, and it's, if you realize, you can see a trend moving from early 90s to late 90s. Early 90s, you get a little spillover from the 80s. You get your Stallones, you get your Schwarzeneggers, you get your big bodybuilder or equivalent type guys just decimating everything.
Yeah.
As you slowly start
getting Van Damme.
As you slowly start moving later and later, you start getting a little more sci-fi, a little more, and I use the term loosely because these are still decent sized guys, more normal sized men in action roles. You got your Keanu's in The Matrix.
Right.
You got your Will Smith in Independence Day.
You got your Harrison Ford in Air Force One and everything.
Exactly. So it's still very action based, but you're going back to your more average size dude.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what year that kind of like went downhill. Like they went from the muscle bound hero to the more everyman hero.
Yeah,
I kind of think Stallone might be like, I mean, Stallone's buffed, but he's not a huge guy. He's like maybe 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking it's got to be the 96, 97 mark, right?
Okay.
You got your The Rock, you got your Nick Cage, you got Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise coming back to the fold. Like I said, Will Smith in Independence Day. And then once you have Nicolas Cage there, 97, Con Air, Face Off, Blade, Wesley Snipes comes back, not as big, still toned.
And also,
Matrix,
one of my, before we can't end without talking about The Rock, the movie, The Rock. Yeah. that's one of my absolute favorite action movies. Well, I wouldn't say it's my favorite of the '90s, but it's definitely top 5, I'd say. And just a lot of fun. The '90s were just ridiculous. Like they did not really, care about screenplay.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes.
Because one of my favorite 90s movies, many people are going to say is garbage, but you know what? The nostalgia in me kicks in, the kid in me kicks in.
Yes.
95, Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
I know
wow.
it's not that good, but you know what? I love it. That is, I could watch, of all the action movies, I could watch that over and over.
I actually like that one. I like the sequel as well. The remake was okay. I wasn't impressed by it. But yeah, that was quintessential '90s action.
But you said you don't need that great of a screenplay. Nothing.
No.
There's a good example of that.
Like a thing that was very popular in the '90s was like with Speed, they would say Die Hard on a bus. Air Force One was Die Hard on a plane. Cliffhanger was Die Hard on a mountain. That was like the go-to analogy of action movies.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's pretty apt. So yeah, the '90s were fantastic. I'm now going back to Stallone though. Like I'm really glad we picked this movie.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's fun. That's
Yeah.
period. You want to be entertained, just go with that.
And it's a great runtime. It's less than 2 hours, which is uncommon these days for an action movie.
Oh yeah.
You know, they have to be a minimum of like 2 hours, 10 minutes. I don't know why they have to be so long. You can tell a story just as simply in an hour and a half, hour 45. But this movie, it's a breezy watch. The runtime goes by really nicely. And yeah, I actually wanted a lot more of this movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think a sequel would have worked per se.
No, it was tightly packaged in there. I
Yeah.
mean, you'd force it.
Yeah. And I just want to discuss the director, Marco Brambilla. Brambilla?
Brambilla? I'm going Brambilla. Italian Brambilla.
Yes, he's an Italian-born Canadian contemporary artist and film director. And I don't know if he did much more in terms of film. He did a short film called Sink, which was in 2005. It looks like Demolition Man was like his one-hit wonder.
Well, actually, you might know this. Was it a hit? I mean, I know we like it, but by box office standards,
well, it's definitely got a cult following.
Yeah.
And let's see here, mixed reviews in 1993.
I get that.
And it earned 159 million worldwide, and it was considered successful for Stallone. So
well, there you go.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I can't think of it. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge enthusiast of Wesley Snipes. I don't know.
No. I think he is very underrated.
Yeah, I mean, I love Blade. The Blade trilogy that he was in was fantastic.
Which, as a comic book fan, I love. But I think one of his best roles has to be White Man Can't Jump.
Okay.
I mean, that's just a great movie.
And he did that. He also collaborated with Woody Harrelson in Money Train, another cheesy '90s action flick.
To Wong Fu, that's Julie Newmar.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, and also I think actually he was the best part of Coming to America.
Yes. He's a standout in a pretty bad movie.
That was really atrocious, and I don't know what they were thinking. I mean,
money grab.
Yeah, that's all it is. That I know. And they're speaking of other action films. They're doing Beverly Hills Cop 4, which they brought back Judge Reinhold and John Ashton. Basically the gentleman who played Taggart. They brought them back, and I'm not even I don't even have high hopes for these movies anymore.
I think you're right.
It's just going to be the tired old formula, throw in some nostalgia in there, and you have a movie. It's just a shame, But eventually they'll probably remake Demolition Man, I think.
Well, and maybe they'll get Wesley Snipes back. This is also a good reminder to everyone: pay your taxes.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Oh, was it too soon?
I don't know. I did not expect that. But okay.
Yeah, I mean,
he's had some legal issues. Oh man. So yeah, goes from 1996. It starts out, and then we end up in 2032, and yeah. I can't say enough about this movie. Oh, so I want to mention Stuart Baird was the editor who actually would later on become a director, and he did he did the I guess he did the editing work on starting with I'm just gonna do Stallone collaborations, Tango and Cash,
Perfect.
Demolition Man, of course. Then he went on to direct Executive Decision, which was another Die Hard on a Plane with Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
almost forgot about that one. Yeah.
And also Halle Berry. I don't even remember it being that good.
That was the other thing about action movies in the 80s and 90s is you can just basically make anything. It didn't matter if it was good or not.
No.
You'll get a following, and it usually was surrounding by your star.
Yeah.
So if you had your Van Damme, your Stallone, your Schwarzenegger,
your go-tos.
Even Seagal at one point.
I
mean,
yeah. We can talk about Seagal. Yeah. I mean,
if you want to.
It could be a quick discussion. But yeah, Under Siege, the first one's pretty good.
Yes.
Second one, not Die Hard on a Train. There you go.
Yeah.
First one was Die Hard on a Ship. It's really it's weird. It was lazy filmmaking back then, but it worked. It was actually exciting, like to go into the theater. I don't know, because they would make maybe one or two of these types of movies a year. So you'd have like a couple months between each to look forward to it. So you'd get excited and the anticipation. But now, fast forward to 2023, we get this type of movie every week. In a way.
About that. I mean, what are your closest equivalents? Your Mission Impossibles.
Right.
Fast and Furious.
Right. Well, we
had
had
your tentpoles now.
We also had Indiana Jones, which didn't do so great.
Would you consider Indiana Jones action though?
It's more adventure.
Yeah, right.
But with action sequences.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, Mission Impossibles, Fast and the Furiouses, it's all the same.
As a fan of Fast and Furious, I'll take offense to that. You're not wrong, but I still take partial offense to it.
I was honestly never a huge fan of those movies. Maybe it kind of went downhill with Paul Walker's passing. I don't know. Hobbs and Shaw was actually really fun, I think.
That one felt more like an older 80s movie.
Yeah. So, but they're out there. These franchises, they're milking it for all it's worth.
Oh yeah.
And I really, I don't look forward to them anymore. I used to think they were fun, but now I just look forward to stuff that's A24, the distribution company. I've said it before and I'll say it again, that everything they pick is very original, and they care they care about story and talent. So
I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
But I say this for a lot of the franchises, which everybody has a right to complain. I'll use a poker term. I'm pot committed. I followed these stories for so long. I gotta see where it goes, even though my expectations may not be where they were 5 years ago, 2 years ago.
Well, with the Mission Impossibles, this is what, the 7th, right?
I lost it.
Yeah, me too. No, I stopped. I stopped caring. I think maybe 1 or 2 movies ago, and now it's been so much time has passed. I'd have to rewatch 6 movies before I even see this new one, which is part 1 of 2, I think. So it's just, I don't know. It's just way too much time.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where people find the time. They make time. I just finished Succession, so I'm a little out of breath with the content. But no, I'm ready for the next quote unquote great action movie. I don't know if it'll come. I don't know if it'll be the Meg 2.
I've heard good things.
Have you? Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen it.
I know you like Statham, right? You're yeah.
Well, then you want to talk about your Fast and Furious
times.
Yeah. He's actually an underrated action star. I'll say that.
Underrated or underrated?
No.
All right. Well, fair enough. I'm hoping. Yeah. Again, originality. That's what I look for in a movie. If it's not fresh, if it's not interesting, like what's the point? Expendables 4 I'll probably see just for Stallone and the other, and I think stay
committed.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm not gonna finish the Family Stallone because that was just ridiculous.
I mean, I'm kind of curious of how bad it is. I might have to watch at least one episode.
You can stream the first episode for free, actually, on one of the I don't know which one. I think it was Freevee. I
Take a look.
yeah, take a look with that, and yeah, it's. I mean, Stallone. He's coming up on 80. Like in a couple of years, he'll be up there.
Him and Schwarzenegger, when you see him now, it's
Yeah.
I'll give him credit. Both of them still have a very good physique for their age.
Yeah.
But you can tell the years have caught up.
Yeah. All those steroids caught up to them, but it's worked well in their favor. I'd say so. They've done some great work. So, any closing thoughts on Demolition Man?
I think you said it best. It's if you want a fun, entertaining action movie, but a quick watch. I mean, there are few movies I think that can compete with that in terms of quality in that perfect amount of time.
Yeah. Again, under 2 hours, action packed, filled with laughs, like genuine comedy. You throw Rob Schneider in there. You've got the three seashells. That'll be forever remembered. Definitely by us, because we're.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And we'll never look at Taco Bell the same way again.
No, I still am a patron of them.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff in the movie we said was the predictions were pretty accurate. And we have 9 more years until this movie actually takes place, 2032. Let's see what other predictions we have that'll be correct.
Hopefully not many mole people though.
Yeah, hopefully not. But if anything, if they were led by Dennis Leary, I would not be against that, because I think he was great in this.
I think this role fit his style perfectly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He has a little rant in there where he's like talking about running through the streets naked, covered in jello. And down there in the sewers, they're eating rat burgers, and Stallone's like, it's not bad. So I don't know if I want to eat a rat burger, but a lot of the other stuff in 2032 looks pretty good. So
I'm actually gonna say it was a decent Stallone.
Yeah, it's a decent Stallone movie.
No, I mean, your voice.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So we have a couple of minutes left. I just want to mention real quick that coming up, we've got the 61st New York Film Festival presented by Film at Lincoln Center. It's coming up, and it'll take place September 29th to October 15th of 2023. Every year, New York Film Festival, or NYFF, highlights the world's best cinema and introduces audiences to bold and remarkable works from celebrated filmmakers. So I've heard great things in the past from this description I just read. It looks like it's going to be another solid year for the film festival.
I'm intrigued to see it.
Yes. Also, guys, I just want to mention I am fresh off the heels of the Festival of Cinema NYC, which took place in our very own backyard here in Forest Hills, Queens, at the Midway Movie Theater on Queens Boulevard. I've been going to this theater since I'm 4 years old.
Yeah, just about
the same. And the first movie I ever saw there was Ghostbusters 2. Same summer was Batman, Tim Burton's Batman. So have a lot of fond memories at this theater, and I'm so happy that it's still open, because you never know these days, right?
Fortunately.
Yeah, so we got to keep this theater up and running, because it should be a landmark. It's a landmark to me. So yeah. All right. Having said all that, Kevin, any plugs tonight?
No, I think I'm all set, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about that New York Film Festival.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear your takes on that.
Yeah. I will keep everyone abreast of all the developments. And I just want to let everyone know, if you want to see old episodes of Under the Radar, just go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, share, spread the love. Also, you can catch new episodes of Under the Radar on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. through the lifestyle channel for Manhattan Neighborhood Network. So Kevin, thank you so much for this.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for listening and watching. I'm Randy Younger. This has been Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger, and this is another episode of Under the Radar, where we talk all things film. And I have with me tonight a very special guest. We have filmmaker, actress, and acting coach, Miss Michelle Danner. Hey, Michelle, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Pretty good.
I'm good. Thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me.
I saw The Runner. I saw Miranda's Victim, and they're both great films. And I just want to comment, you really like to make your characters suffer. But in a good way, actually. It's very powerful, very profound performances in both films. With Miranda's Victim, what made you want to shed a light on such a harrowing story?
Well, the project was offered to me. It came to me on a Sunday night, and I remember, normally I just don't answer emails on Sunday night, but I immediately looked at this. I said, oh my God, this is great. This is a great story. And what? It had never been told. The Miranda Roberts story was never told. So I was immediately intrigued, fascinated, did more research, called back, set up meetings, flew to meet people, was passionate, had lots of vision for what it could be. And the rest is history. It came together fairly quickly. I had also a vision about the kind of cast that I wanted to play these parts. And a lot of the time I got my first choice. Sometimes I didn't, because actors were not available. But it worked out. We had a phenomenal shooting. We shot in New Jersey. We shot the movie on film as opposed to HD. We had these fantastic locations, like a police station of the 60s, a courtroom, a courthouse of the 60s, which actually got torn down right after we finished shooting.
Oh, wow.
And it just, sometimes in life, it's so interesting when you look back at your life on projects or the things that fall into place easily. And there's always a meant to be feel about it. This is just meant to be. And then some things that are just heavy lifting that you have to struggle. But although this was a lot of work, I wouldn't call it a heavy lifting, and I would not call it a struggle. Just, of course, a lot of intense, passionate work.
And it definitely shows. You definitely have a great touch when it comes to directing. All of the elements are in place in this film. It was just a really, even the subject matter wasn't pleasant, but the film itself was pleasant. It was just a nice, easy watch, and I want to commend you on that.
Thank you. Well, I was just very geared into telling a story about having courage to stand up for justice. So that was my focus.
Okay.
And I know, like, for instance, that big scene that we had, that rough scene of the rape in the movie, people walked away from the set. Everybody was upset. And I understood why they were upset. Right. I was just focused on something that was, more uplifting. So I know that the subject matter was tough,
Right.
but I was just focused on a feel that I wanted. Um, and that particular scene, that was the last day of our shoot, and we were very close to the beach, and we finished shooting at 5:30 in the morning, and the sun started to turn colors, and it was very apocalyptic. We were all like there after it's a wrap, crying and hugging, and it's so interesting what happens when you make a movie. There's a certain group of people that come together for a certain period of time, and you share something that is very intense, spiritual, meaningful, and it's a bond that is created. Sometimes you continue the bond for years on end, and sometimes it's the end of that moment with those people.
Now,
But
I would have done the rape scene in the beginning just to get it out of the way, personally, but
it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
We were bound to schedules, to locations. We had a movie theater that only was available those days, a courthouse that was being torn down, a police station that was also being torn down. So we had, it's always like that. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to shoot a movie, in a different way, and certainly in continuity chronologically, but linear, but it doesn't happen that way. Yeah.
Well, you piece it together beautifully. I definitely want to talk about the cast here. I mean, you've got a who's who, a real ensemble here. Abigail Breslin, Luke Wilson, Andy Garcia, Donald Sutherland, Ryan Felipe, Kyle MacLachlan. These are just big names. I'm just curious, what was it like wrangling all this talent? Was that a difficult process?
No. Donald Sutherland was, when he said yes, that really meant something so important. He was my favorite actor. He reminded me of my father, his whole career. So I thought my father, who's no longer here, passed away. I thought my father had that was the hand of God, directing this. And then Enrique Murciano, a wonderful actor that plays Cooley, happened to be a student of mine from a very long time ago, one of my very first students. And I always, I cast him in my first movie, his first movie, How to Go Out on a Date in Queens. And I've always contacted his agent every single time that I've done a movie. And every time he's been busy, he's worked on Without a Trace and Bloodline and all these great, movies and series. So he's never available because he's so talented. So finally, this time I said, well, wait a minute, I'm just going to call him. And he made himself available. He found a way. He wasn't available for another month, but he found a way. And he came to play with us. And Andy Garcia also came to play with us. Fabulous, incredible actor, as we all know. Abigail Breslin, I sent her the script, and I remember having a lot of other actors that we were considering, of course, when you're casting. And then and I just had a voice inside of me that, I mean, I'll always remember. I'm just going to talk about this voice that said, stop screwing around, just cast a real actress. Okay. And I sent her the script. She read it the day after. We got together the day after, had coffee, connected in a very deep way, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I can't believe this is the same little girl from Signs. How she has matured and blossomed as this lovely young actress is amazing. I am curious though, what other actresses were considered?
Nobody that I'm going to mention their name,
okay.
But you know what it is. She's somebody who was like 17, 18.
Okay.
But Abigail Breslin is 18. She looks really young.
No, I think she's in her 20s.
Her 20s.
Yeah.
But I let go of that, and it was good that I trusted my instinct. And then Josh Bowman, who plays her husband, I had lunch with him here in Los Angeles, and they have a beautiful child. And I thought, well, this family rounded itself up. I thought, well, Emily would be a great Anne. She would be a great sister to Abby. And then I thought, oh, well, first of all, Mireille Enos is one of my very favorite actresses on the face of the earth. I saw her on Broadway in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. She played Honey, and she was nominated for a Tony Award. And then I love that series, The Killing, with Brent Sexton, who also came to do this movie. Ryan Felipe, I've always admired him, and Luke Wilson. And so this all, yeah, it was just all came together.
Mhm. Yeah, you did a great job here. I can't praise this movie enough. What was it like on set? What was there? Was there camaraderie? What was the morale high?
Incredible, an
Good.
incredible camaraderie. I mean, I'm friends with the wonderful Dan Laurie. I used to go see him perform in New York, off Broadway, on Broadway in Lombardy, watch the Wonder Years, and he came out to do the doctor.
Right.
I certainly watched Nolan Gold grow up in front of us in Modern Family, and he came and played the love interest of Trish, before that event happened. And Lola loved Taryn Manning's acting. She's wonderful. And she, also gave her heart, as everybody did. Everybody understood that this was an important story that needed to be told. Not every story necessarily needs to be told, but it's okay. Some stories are told for fun. Some stories are told because, they're important. This one falls in that category. But everybody felt, and there was a lot of I can't say the word, friendships. People got together. Our wonderful producer, writer, George Colbert, who came up with the idea of this. What happened to the victim? He is the one that went to research it. He has a beautiful house, and he hosted brunches and parties and dinners. And so the cast felt a bond.
Nice.
Everybody was happy to be there. And they just had a great experience, and I had a great experience working with them.
I love hearing that. Really do. And it's really surprising to me that this story is so powerful, so impactful, that it's never been really told before in such a way. So, it's really great that you're shining a light on this really important historical event.
Yes, I mean, in my last movie, The Runner, I did have a scene where it says you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say will be used against you. I mean, I never questioned it. I never questioned it. Never.
Right.
So interesting to think the things that you don't question in life.
Right.
Until they offered me this movie, and I was like, oh yeah, the Miranda rights. How did that come about?
And there you go. The rest is history.
Yeah.
So what would you like audiences to take away from this film?
That it's so important, even though it can be difficult and scary, to keep finding the courage to speak the truth, to speak out, to seek justice for you or for someone else. So this is a movie about personal justice, about justice in the judicial system, which sometimes prevails and sometimes doesn't. Civil rights, liberties, and karmic justice. That there is something that is interesting. Even if somebody doesn't get their due somewhere, if somebody gets convicted, for instance, and they don't end up doing all the years that they're supposed to do because the crime was so bad, that life, has a way sometimes. What is it that they say? Karma is, if I can swear on your podcast, karma's a bitch.
Right.
So,
That should be the tagline.
It gets you. And so I like the full circle of this idea of finding justice.
That's awesome. I love it. It's great. Let's switch gears a bit. I know aside from filmmaking, you are an accomplished acting coach. Talk a little bit about your school and what you hope young actors hope to get from that program.
Well, I had 20 meetings. I meet with all my students regularly, and that are enrolled in a conservatory program, which is the Michel Danner Acting Studio, the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory. And everybody is so happy with the faculty, their teachers, that really want to be there and give something of themselves to this younger generation. I'm very, I don't know what's the word, proud that this school is helping so many people and giving a foundation to this younger generation to go out and really do good work, tell meaningful stories. So people, when they really want to express themselves artistically in that way, they long to find community. They long to find a family. that, they can exchange creative energy with.
Okay.
And I think that that's very much happening at the school. We are premiering Miranda's Victim the opening night at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, which is, just a great honor.
Right.
And the whole entire, student body and our faculty are coming up to Santa Barbara to support Walk the Red Carpet.
Nice.
And it's at the Arlington Theater, so it's a big theater.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited. I think it's good for them to see, the level of the work that I believe in. One of my very favorite movies is Whiplash. I have shown it to my children a few years ago when it came out, and we have had the conversation about the pursuit of excellence.
Right.
And another theme that runs, through me and that I share, and yesterday was a lot of my subjects of my conversations with students, was this idea that you have to keep being in a place that feels uncomfortable in order to grow as an artist. That's the only way.
Right.
And I can very clearly tell you that today has been an uncomfortable day.
Oh, no.
Because we're trying to get the last visual effects and
Okay.
the last song in the movie and
Hopefully
the color.
hopefully this interview is not part of that uncomfortable.
No, this is like a moment I can just breathe and be myself.
Okay.
And tell you what I believe in. And so it's okay.
Yeah.
I have to keep reminding myself. Didn't you just say yesterday that it's good to be uncomfortable? Well, there you have it. You're very uncomfortable.
That's not, you should make a movie about that, about an artist trying to get the message out, but all the obstacles that come your way. But
Oh, yeah. I've been watching some of these movies at Sundance, and I particularly love, after I see the movie, the Q&As. And it's great where people you really share that, and then you see yourself in every person. You're like, oh yeah, well, that's good. This movie Atonement, years ago, I remember listening to the director's commentary, and they were like, it's so hard, with the kids and at night, and you only have 20 minutes. And I did a movie with dogs and kids, and I was like, oh yeah, well, yes, it's hard for everybody. It's hard whether you have, $40 million or, $200,000.
Right. Now I'm just curious, how often do you cast your students? Is that
quite often?
Yeah, that's an easy transition.
Quite often. It's an easy transition if they fit the part. I don't just cast them for the sake of casting them. There's several students of mine that are playing parts in, and teachers that teach at our school that are playing parts in Miranda's Victim.
Okay.
And also in The Runner. For instance, the lead actor, Edouard Philippe Onat, was a student in a program. And one night, I had, certainly been aware of his immense talent. And then one night, all the lights went out on Main Street. So I told everybody, hold up your phone, because we have 3 more scenes and I want everybody to get their work up. And so everybody's holding their lights in their phone. And he does this scene, Edouard does this scene. And I was like, whoa. And I was developing this movie called The Runner. I was writing the story, and this writer, Jason Chase Terrell, was writing the screenplay, and I gave it to Edouard, and he loved it, and we found a way to get it made. But the thing was this: we were so close to pushing it to April, and if we had pushed it to April, that's when the lockdown happened. We would have never. I know we would have not made this movie. I just know it. We just got into the elevator as the door closed.
Yeah.
Then I spent the whole lockdown editing, and I learned something quite wonderful, which was not to be on the fast lane, because, since we didn't know what was happening, when we were going to get out of this, there was such a relaxation in the work. I was like, oh yeah, well, let's keep going. I just lost track of time.
Like therapeutic.
I didn't feel like, today you got to get through this scene. You're going to do, no, it's like, it's all good. And that's, I think the work paid off there, because I was in that place of not that frenetic thing,
I like that mindset. You're so zen, it seems. That's great.
I don't know. Somebody will tell you here I'm not zen today. But I try. But wait, the truth is that I am very calm. Everybody has remarked on set that I am very, very calm, because I don't like yelling, and I like everything being harmonious. I always make jokes that, I like just classical music and candles and flowers around me. So
you're not J.K. Simmons in Whiplash.
Yeah, definitely. I know. Not as a teacher and not as a director.
Good. I like to hear that too. So in your humble opinion, what makes a great actor?
Well, it's an actor that's willing to take risks.
Mhm.
Risks with their interpretation of the character that they're inhabiting, risks with choices, how they're going to play certain moments that they're not necessarily how you would expect somebody to react in that moment, but because you inhabited that character so deeply that you understand, something that is just not, that is a little off kilter. I remember Glenn Close once said, I think about how my characters walk in and disturb the air. And I love that idea of thinking like that, to disturb the air. But it's a risk taker. I think a great actor, there's a lot of really good actors. There's a lot of great actors. There's a lot of actors that are just, I always say we all have the list.
Right.
Meryl Streep is not on the list. And when I say that, everybody goes, what? I'm like, no, she's above the list. She defines the list. And so does Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, it's that kind of acting. And then some people could say, well, I don't have a favorite actor, but I have a favorite performance. Because sometimes it's that marriage of the actor and the character that comes together. And they just bring it something that is, spiritual. So if you find that spiritual connection with the character that you're playing, to me, that's great acting. As a matter of fact, I start a masterclass that I teach called the Golden Box with those three questions. What is great acting? What is a great acting moment? And what is a great actor? So that's how I start that class.
Well, I think I want to take that class. Actually, that sounds good.
April is the next time.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. So I also wanted to talk, aside from your acting school, you are also involved with the Creative Center for the Arts. And I believe you are involved with that with Larry Moss.
Yes, Larry was a teacher of mine, a wonderful teacher and director. As a matter of fact, we worked on some projects together, and he co-founded with me the theater on Main Street. Since then, since COVID, we have unfortunately moved, and Larry moved to New York. And now I have a small theater, a very cute little location with a beautiful outdoor courtyard and classrooms and offices on Washington Boulevard, close to Sony Studios. As a matter of fact, I had a mural artist go all the way up and, paint some quotes. You can't spell heart without art. If you're driving from west to east, if you're coming from east to west, you cannot make art without heart. And those are very, I think, symbolic, of our philosophy. So we have, since COVID, slowly but surely, we've, started again, and we have classes in person, of course. And I've been working during COVID with the wonderful, formidable actress, Anne Archer, who I absolutely adore. And we worked on a piece, on a one-woman show called The Ticket to the Circus, which is written by Bonnie Culver, who was a friend of Norris Church Mailer, who was the wife of Norman Mailer. And it's a beautiful piece. It's incredibly well written and gives a great performance. We filmed it, and we're going to show it on virtual theater fairly soon, in the next few weeks. And then we're going to do live presentations of it. And Anne is absolutely phenomenal in this one-woman show.
Great. That sounds exciting. I remember Anne Archer from Patriot Games, early 90s.
Or Fatal Attraction, where she was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe. Yes. Yeah,
there you go. I think that's a better performance. Fine actress too. So, okay, we have a few minutes left. I just want to see, how can people see The Runner, and how can people see Miranda's Victim?
The Runner is, I believe, everywhere. It was distributed by Saban Films. It also went into the movie theaters. Okay. So that they can see it, you just on Apple, on Amazon, everywhere, all the different platforms. It was on demand for a long time. Miranda's Victim is, working to finalize with a distributor. Wow. And so I think it'll probably come out in the fall, I think. We're going to do the festival circuit, a few more festivals, and then it'll come out in the fall.
Very exciting. And the film is great. I can't praise it enough. I just put together my list of my favorite film, top 10 for 2022. And I think Miranda's Victim might be on for 2023. So it's really a quality film. So, yeah. Are there any other projects or anything you want to plug at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I have several projects. Oh my God. I have um, a wonderful comedy, romantic comedy called Starstruck, a wonderful comedy called The Italians, and another dramedy um, called based on a book called The Uninvited by Craig Schmel.
Okay.
I've been offered a few other things. So, it's the same thing when you're working in movies, you never know, how it's all going to land, you have to find a cast. But I'm definitely at work seeing what the next move is. I didn't quite yet give birth to Miranda's Victim because, like I said, we're still doing color tomorrow and visual effects. So we're almost there. And then I think that the birthing will come February 8th in Santa Barbara.
Okay, yeah, well, from the screening link I saw, it looked beautiful. So
Thank
FYI, it looks great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So Michelle, I want to thank you for your time tonight. This was awesome. It was great meeting you. Great to talk about your work, and keep going. You're on a hot streak. It's great.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
You too. All right, guys. I'm Randy Unger. This has been Under the Radar. We'll see you next time.